The Liberals have banned single-use plastic in 2021, and they've signed on to an international plastics treaty. But are they living how they preach? Well, I've got an order paper response that says, not a chance.
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of when we have water bottles out of a plastic, away from plastic towards paper, like drink box water bottles sort of things.
Well, my fellow Canadians, that's our highly articulate Prime Minister explaining to us how he doesn't use plastic water bottles because he's just more environmentally woke than the rest of us. He uses something called a drink box water bottle sort of thing instead of, turning on the tap and filling a glass. Trudeau's government always finds ways to tell us how deadly serious they are about reducing plastic waste in the world. So, Conservative MP Michelle Rempel-Garner wanted to know if these Liberals walk their own talk when it comes to getting off single-use plastics. So back in December, she asked an order paper question which compelled a response from the government across all ministries and agencies. Just look at this. December 11th, 2019, Ms. Rempel-Garner from Calgary Nose Hill, with regard to expenditures on single-use bottled water by the government in fiscal years 2017-2018, 2018-2019, and to date in 2019-2020. A, what are the total expenditures broken down by department or agency? B, what are the details of all such expenditures, including date, amount, vendor, description of goods, including quantity, reason the bottled water was purchased, and C, of the expenditures in B, which expenditures were incurred for consumption in facilities where access to safe drinking water was readily available from April 1st, 2017 to December 11th, 2019. Now, the response back from the government is enormous. 452 pages long, one of the longest order paper question responses that I have ever read. However, even though the order paper response is 452 pages long, most departments say they can't answer, don't know, or don't even bother to track bottled water expenses. You'd think if plastic was such a high priority waste for this government, you'd also think the Liberals would know all about their own single-use plastic use. And let me be perfectly clear here. I don't think this way about plastic. I think plastic, if properly dealt with, and not just, like dumped into a river somewhere, is the perfect inert garbage that can be turned into energy to heat and power homes. But the Liberals, they're the ones who won't shut up about the dangers of plastics. The Liberals even signed on to this international thing called the Plastics Charter. Here's a bit of the preamble. Marine plastic litter is a global problem that requires global action to bring real change. On June 9th, 2018, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, the United Kingdom, and the European Union adopted the Ocean Plastics Charter to demonstrate their commitment to take concrete and ambitious action to address the problem. By signing the charter, our partners commit to a more resource-efficient and life cycle approach to plastic stewardship on land and at sea. Through partnerships with business, international organizations, and other countries, we can grow the momentum for real action on plastic pollution around the world. Now, after signing on to that plastics charter, Trudeau's government then announced a plan to ban all single-use plastics by 2021. And when quizzed on how he is using fewer single-use plastics, well, that's when that great moment in oratory history barfed right out of Trudeau's mouth, and he introduced us all to paper, drink box, water bottle sort of things. Trudeau even co-authored an op-ed called The Case Against Bottled Water in the Toronto Star back in 2018. The Liberals super duper hate plastic, or so they would have you believe. Their expenses, though, say otherwise. Let's take a look at a few of these so you can just see this for yourself. The Department of Fisheries and Oceans list starts on page 263 and runs for 40 full pages. I guess they don't so much care about the plastic in the ocean, despite that, plastics charter they signed on to a little while ago. The DFO spent $73,000 in 2 years on bottled water. Page 348, it's global affairs. They've spent $1 million on bottled water since 2017 that it knows about. It says it doesn't track if someone had a bottle of water with a meal expense, for example. Look at this. Travel on government business directives provide for the reimbursement of a reasonable amount of bottled water based on receipts, except where bottled water is part of a meal incurred while traveling on government business. Bottled water may also be included as part of hospitality, provided in accordance with approved directives. Look at these numbers. 380,000 in 2017, 385,000 in 2018, 222,000 in 2019. Chrystia Freeland sure had a thirsty bunch who couldn't find their way to a faucet, didn't she? Now on page 43, it's the Privy Council office, so Trudeau's office. But they also refuse to answer, saying they don't track this sort of information. Look at this. With regard to expenditures on single-use bottled water by the government in fiscal years 2017, 2018, 2018, 2019, and to date in 2019, 2020, the fiscal information is not tracked at the product level, rather by the nature of the expense. As such, the Privy Council office has no information to provide. Trudeau's office doesn't seem to care enough to track the information. However, back in 2017, I went through Trudeau's home grocery bills and discovered that he spends upwards of $300 a month on bottled water for his primary residence. I can't imagine he's any more fiscally or environmentally responsible when he's at work. Now, I kind of saved the biggest hypocrite for last. It's my muse, the former Environment Minister Catherine McKenna. She was the point woman on the Plastics Charter and the single-use plastics ban. Environment and Climate Change Canada's list starts on page 251 and 252. However, they're among those ministries that won't or can't answer how much bottled water they use. But shouldn't the answer be zero, given former Minister McKenna's extreme preening against single-use plastics? Shouldn't her ministry have been the one telling us it was all possible to live life this way? Just look at this. Environment and Climate Change Canada does not have a specific way to track expenditures related to bottled water. Now, the same thing goes over at the Impact Assessment Agency of Canada and Parks Canada. Instead, McKenna's former ministry gives us some rhetoric about how they're banning plastic and trying to reduce waste by, I guess, wasting 2 pages of my printer paper with their meaningless response. Just like the Privy Council office, McKenna's ministry didn't actually care enough about plastic garbage to track any of it. It's just more live as I say, not live as I do from these out-of-touch Liberals. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunreid. If you like this video, and I know you do, don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that bell to get notified when we publish a video. And while you're at it, why not head over to rebelnews.com and sign up for Rebel News Plus, where you can access all of our full-length content, including my weekly show, The Gun Show. That's rebelnews.com.